Hey everybody, how is it going? And welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be going over those crazy tattooed chef earnings and the insane price action that followed and what I did about it. And then I'm going to get into my other trades. Now, before I get started, as always, everybody, please remember I am not a financial advisor. All of this is just my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Please make all of your own trading decisions. All right, well, in case you didn't know, the Tattooed Chef came out with their much anticipated earnings last night, and the stock is having one heck of a ride, not only yesterday, but today as well. And I found this article here that says it's trying to explain away why the Tattooed Chef is getting gobbled up today. It says the Tattooed Chef stock, 15 reasons why investors are gobbling up the Tattooed Chef shares today. I'm going to get into this article and then I'm going to get into the chart and show you what I expect to happen with the Tattooed Chef and what I am doing. But let's get into these 15 reasons first. Reason number one, it's not entirely clear why traders are boosting shares of the Tattooed Chef stock today. All right, well, that's a good reason. Let's go to reason number two. While earnings came out, they weren't exactly inspiring. All right, that's reason number two. I agree they weren't exactly earth-shattering. They didn't knock my socks off, but I think there was some pretty decent takeaways to take from that. But reason number three, now that includes the company's diluted loss of 10 cents per share, missing Wall Street's estimate of negative 5 cents. All right, well, that's another negative reason, I guess. I'm looking for some good reasons here while people are gobbling those shares up. Next one says, on the bright side, it's at least better than the 11 cents per share reported during the same time last year. Okay, well, that's sort of a positive. I appreciate that one. Now, next one, it's a similar story for revenue, which came in at $58 million during Q3 2021, but that is below revenue estimates of $60.95 million for the period. So that's not exactly a reason why they would be gobbling up. Let's go to the next one. Says, even so, it's still a 43.5% increase over the 41 million reported in the same period last year. All right, so we got a little bit of a positive there. This company is up, or the revenue is up 43.5%, which is a monstrous number. I know they missed Wall Street's expectations slightly, but if this company can continue to grow anywhere near this pace, this company is going to be much, much bigger in the future without a doubt. Now it says the company's outlook for the full year 2021 also doesn't bring anything positive with it. All right, well, that's not exactly a reason why people are gobbling up shares. Let's go to the next one. 7 semiconductor stocks to buy for the holiday tech. All right, that's probably just a shameless plug for another article. Let's go to the next one. Tattooed Chef is expecting revenue for the year to range from $210 million to $215 million, while that would be a 41 to 45% jump from 2020 revenue. It would still miss Wall Street's estimate of $239 million. So even though this is pretty darn nice, this is the number in focus. It seems that they want us to see that they missed the estimate of $239 million. But again, if you are growing at these clips and can keep it up, you're going to be a much larger company in the future, and most likely the stock is going to be much higher as well. But it says, despite all of this negative news, TTCG, otherwise known as TTCF stock, is gaining today alongside heavy trading volume. All right, we might be getting onto something here. As of this writing, more than 4 million shares of stock have changed hands, and that's well above the company's average daily trading volume of 1.6 million shares. So that is a good thing. Definitely a lot of volume coming into the stock. Now it says it's possible today's positive movement for TTCG, otherwise known as TTCF stock, comes as investors buy shares after yesterday's price dip. Now that is definitely possible because it was certainly pulling back into support. Last one says that would help explain the rising price as well as the heavy trading. No kidding. That was a nice little tidbit there. And it says Tattooed Chef stock is up 13.6% as of Wednesday morning, but is down 23% since the start of the year. So obviously there is a negative bias on this article, so let's actually just take it for what it's worth. But the stock is definitely getting bought up today, and let's get over to the charts and take a look at the price action. All right, so let's get into this crazy day for the Tattooed Chef. This was an enormously volatile day, and you would kind of expect it, with everything that's been going on. We had earnings coming out, the earnings were canceled. There were rumors flying around what the numbers were, so you knew that there was going to be some fireworks today. And man, I was hoping to get some shares under $16, but I didn't end up getting any. I sold some puts, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get any shares. And by the way, if you want to know what we are doing in real time, I do have a Patreon. It is only $10 a month. The link is down there in the description. So if you would like to join our small trading community, you are more than welcome. We don't have a ton of people in the Patreon, so it's not like, overly confusing in there. It's just a small group of traders, and we just share ideas in there. But getting back to the Tattooed Chef right here, I sold some $15 puts and I sold some $14 puts as well. Once the volatility picked back up after they announced that earnings were going to be released again. So I took advantage of that volatility, sold some puts as, they were, getting a pretty decent size premium. It doesn't look like price is going to fall below 15 or 14 by Friday. So I'm probably not going to get any shares. I'm just going to, for this deep pullback in the Tattooed Chef, I'm just going to end up collecting some premium, which definitely feels like, I went to a some place where they were giving out prizes, and first prize was, a brand new automobile, and that was the shares for Tattooed Chef, and I end up coming away with, 10th place with a keychain, so it feels very unsatisfying, even though I am going to end up keeping all of that premium. Hopefully the Tattooed Chef does pull back down closer towards this box so I can add some more shares. I definitely wanted to add to my position because they are still growing, even though they did miss expectations. As long as they keep growing anywhere near that clip, I'm going to continue to buy on weakness, but I might not get a chance here. Actually, let me pull up my volume indicator down here, and see, volume has just been enormous. Hasn't been many days bigger than what's going on today, and the trading day isn't even over yet. So I would expect Tattooed Chef to hold this support level, at least for the foreseeable future. Definitely after a big up day like this, I think we might get a little bit of a pullback, but I would highly doubt, unless something catastrophic comes out with the company or we just have a massive sell-off in the overall market, I would highly doubt that it's going to end up breaking below this box. So hopefully it gets close to it soon and I can add to my position. But if you are a Tattooed Chef shareholder, you got to be very encouraged by this price action. All right, so now I did make some moves today, and one of them was I bought shares in a company called VALE. I actually bought some just over $12 a share and just under $12 a share, so I am underwater on these shares a little bit already, but not that big of a deal. I plan on holding this one for it's kind of a longer term bounce play. It's a Brazilian company, and the Brazilian stocks, if you haven't seen, have been getting absolutely crushed. I think they're probably a little bit oversold, and they are due for a bounce. And this company, if you're not familiar with them, they have a market cap of $61 billion, and it says right here they have a dividend yield of 18.71%. Now their dividend is usually pretty inconsistent, so I don't know where it's going to shake out. I don't expect to get 18%, but if I do, I'm not going to argue with it. I will gladly take it. And actually, let's look at the dividends real quick. If you go down to their dividend summary, you can see that crazy yield, and the payout is actually only about 54%, so that's actually pretty reasonable. And if we look at the dividend history, scroll it down a little bit, you can see it's just kind of all over the place. So you never really know where it's going to shake out. I do expect to get a dividend, but I don't know if it's going to be 18%, but if it is, I'll gladly take it. But scrolling down, you can see this company deals in minerals, base metals, and coal. And this part that I'm really interested in is the base metals segment, and they extract nickel and its byproducts such as copper, gold, silver, cobalt, and other precious metals. And I do think that those areas are going to be doing very well going into the future. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's going to shake out that well. And I also think that the Brazilian stocks that have been getting pummeled are due for a bounce. So I think there's a couple of factors why this stock could be bouncing in the near future, and plus, they have a pretty decent dividend payout as well, so it's always nice to get paid while you wait. But let's get over to the chart and I'll show you why I decided to buy right now. All right, so right here I have the chart for VALE up, and I want to go into the reasons why I decided to start my position today. And this is actually the weekly chart. I'm going to start off with this one, and as you can see, VALE has been in a huge downtrend for several months now. The MACD indicator is what I have down here on the bottom. This is my favorite indicator to use when I'm looking for a potential bottom in a stock that has been downtrending for a while. Now, the two lines on the MACD indicator down here have been spread apart quite a ways for quite a while. Now, when this happens, one of two things are probably going to happen. Either a bounce is imminent, or it's probably going to zero. And I'm hoping it's not the latter. I'm thinking this thing is way overdue for a bounce. You can see these indicators are spread out, so it is stretched to the downside. Price is stretched way away from the 8-period exponential moving average. Usually when price gets too far stretched away from it, you end up getting a snap back into it, and usually a decent counter rally depending on the velocity of the downtrend. And you can see this velocity has been pretty deep. So looking at the weekly chart, I think this is getting very close to a bottom. I know it's doing a little bit of gambling, trying to call the exact bottom if you're looking at that weekly chart. But let's go to the daily chart and I'll show you why I decided to pick right now. One of my favorite bottoming indicators, of course, is this MACD, and also when it's making a positive divergence. So as we can see, the price of VALE has made a lower low while the indicator is making a higher low. So this usually tells me that there is a pretty strong possibility that a bounce could be coming. It is not guaranteed, so I will have to, play this position accordingly. But after what I am seeing, and being that it's been in a downtrend for so long, I don't think the company is going to zero. I think a bounce is probably hopefully right around the corner. Now, one thing that I plan to do with this position is sell covered calls way out of the money, probably about 30 to 45 days out, to try to collect some extra income on these shares while I'm waiting for it to bounce. So that's some extra yield that I'm going to get if I do end up getting some dividends from VALE. So it's a nice way to, if you plan on holding a stock for several weeks to several months, typically for several months you want to hold it if you're doing this kind of strategy, selling out covered calls, 30 to 45 days into the future. I'm going to be selling them probably the $14 or the $15 call, most likely the $14 call. And if we do get a bounce up to 14, that's going to be a pretty nice appreciation on the stock. Plus, I'll be collecting that dividend as well. But that is why I got into VALE today. Now let's look at some of the other trades I made today. All right, so let's get into the day trade that I made today, and that was on GOEV Canoe Incorporated. And if you never heard of this company before, you should definitely go check them out. They're in the EV space, and they have a very interesting looking product, to say the least, but definitely a cool looking product. But if you remember this one, I traded it a few weeks ago when it was breaking out of this little rounded bottom formation right here. If I was on the intraday chart, you can see it a little bit better, but I'll just go over it real quick. I bought in at $7.41. I ended up selling out right here at about $8.60, right before it had this big gap up, but then it had that huge reversal. But now we can see what this thing has done. So obviously it would have been better if I had just held on to this one, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. But another stock that I actually bought right around the same time, that was also in the EV sector, because I saw this sector was picking up some relative strength, was Lordstown Motors. RIDE. I bought it after it broke out of this rounded bottom formation and sold up here right around the 50-period simple moving average. I thought we were going to get some resistance up there, which we did temporarily, but then Lordstown Motors had this huge gap up and then rolled over since then. If I was still holding on this one, I'd actually be staring at a loss. So that's how it goes sometimes. But let's get back to GOEV and see how that trade worked out. I'm going to go to the minute chart, back it out a little bit here and size the chart up, go back in time and size this thing up a little bit better so we can see. But as we can see, this thing has been selling off the rest of the day. That's why I like to play these little momentum moves for about the first hour of the day or so, because so many of them just tend to sell off the rest of the day. But you can see GOEV had this big gap up, kind of chopped around a little bit until it broke that 15-minute high right here. I got in at $12.05 is where my shares were executed at. It jumped way up to about $12.50 right away, but it just couldn't get above it. I actually had my sell order in for $12.68, and this thing did not make it. It made it as high as $12.64, so only about a nickel short of where I needed. But this thing reversed immediately. I had my trailing stop just below the 8-period exponential moving average on the 1-minute chart because I just want to lock in gains in case this thing does have a big reversal, which it did. So I ended up getting out at $12.23. So I made about 1.5%, but I guess it's better than a loss. Unfortunately, just missed my sell order up here, and that's the way that goes sometimes. But it was right around a little more than $100 is all I made. So definitely not a slamming trade, but I guess it is better than a loss. But you can see this thing just kept on fading and fading and fading the rest of the day, and the day is still going on, so who knows where it's going to end up at. But that is how that trade shaped out. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.